There are two very, very important concerns when it comes to how you're answering the questions that you're asked. One of them is verbal and the other one is vocal, which is the paralinguistic channel. In other words, it's not language, but it is like language. It's the way that we say what we say, or our use of vocalics. First, on the verbal channel, the simplest rule is be certain that you're asking the question that you're answering the question that you're asked, that you're responding to what it is that they're seeking. You don't want to go far beyond the question you've been asked, and you also don't want to avoid the question you've been asked. So the biggest tip verbally is respond to what they're seeking, answer what you've been asked. But also in terms of vocalics, one of the things that you want to think about is what kind of voice do you have in everyday conversation? Do you know that there are concerns? Do you know that you have behaviors like vocalized pauses where you and instead of using silence? Like empty language where you might say you know or like or I mean on a regular basis as filler, as interjection, rather than as useful language choices. If you know these things exist in your everyday conversation, practice interviewing and practice not doing those things. Be conscious in practice of avoiding those problematic areas, and then when it comes time for the actual interview, you'll be able to answer the questions, your flow will be natural, but you'll be able to avoid these kinds of distractions. So those are one set of problems vocally, and that is if you're using vocalized pauses or empty language. The other thing is, where is your voice in terms of register? If you know you already are very good at using the middle to lower range of your voice, that's effective. It's more pleasing to the ear, and so people respond more favorably to that. If not, if you tend to use the upper register, then you might want to work on that in practice as well. Work on using the middle so that we all have a range of pitches that we can utilize. So work on utilizing the middle to lower range of your pitch. Also, if you know you have issues of things like that you tend to be nasal or have nasality in your tone, you'll want to get away from that as well. Then there are very controllable aspects like volume, pace, and articulation. Make sure that you're answering loud enough to be heard, but just like with the nonverbal physical style where you don't want to lean in so far that you make the interviewer want to lean back, you don't want to be so loud that they feel like they also have to get away from you or increase the distance between the two of you. So loud enough to be heard, clear enough to be heard and understood, but not so loud that you're running somebody out of the room. In terms of pace and articulation, you want to have the pace of your answers vary, but you want them to be quick enough to show your competence, to show your credibility, but not so fast that you can't be understood, that we can't follow what it is that you're saying. And so a measured pace, but a varied pace is going to be important in how you respond to the questions that you're asked. And then also that you articulate the words that you're saying. If you know that you tend to run words together, especially in situations where you might be a little bit nervous or where you know the consequences really matter, like an interview setting, then really work on that in practice as well. So have a good pace, fast enough to be energetic and confident, but not so fast that you can't be understood. Make sure you're articulating the words clearly at whatever pace that you're utilizing. Be loud enough to be heard, but not so loud that you're pushing your interviewer back out of the room. And then again on the verbal channel, make sure to answer what you're asked and not go so far afield beyond the question that they're asking. Anecdotes, for example, can be very good in your answers, but you want to make sure that the story that you're telling is A, brief, and B, directly related to the answer that you're giving.